Oh, this is a good fish. Oh my god, this is a monster. I don't know what it is. Oh, oh, look at this. This is what we came here for. How did we get down there? We weren't thinking this far ahead. Oh, look at that. Alright. We have to walk them around. And go down here. Hopefully we can get them in. Out in the middle of nowhere. Look at this bad boy. He's gonna go nuts once he gets within reach. We're not. Boom! Oh, it's a solid 6. Oh. Beautiful. Wow. Alright, we got all we need from you. That was not coming out. Wow, look at that. Fish fits in its mouth. Thank you. Not good here. Gotta go through some muck. That's a solid. This is a 4.5.
Gentlemen, ladies, and anyone in between, I welcome you all. And today, we're going to get up close and personal and do a side-by-side comparison to two of Daiwa's flagship model baitcasting reels, the brand new Steez CT SV TW700 and the 2017 Daiwa Steez SV TW. Now, before we get into this, I'm going to start this off a little bit differently. I'm going to be tearing these down and go over the details. But one thing I wanted to address is something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it has to do with the price of this reel. If you go on Daiwa Japan's site and you look at what the MSRP is, the actual cost that the retailer or the manufacturer sets, it's cheaper than this reel. This reel and this reel are nearly identical in price. However, the 2017 version is in fact more expensive. So how, when you bring this reel stateside, is it all of a sudden $200 more than the long in the tooth, well, not that long in the tooth, 2017 model Steez SV TWS? And it's with that being said, when you look at the description and all the information found in Japan on this reel, they really do tout it more as a finesse reel. And in here, in the United States, it's kind of listed as more of a do-all reel. Now, that's kind of where we're going to go ahead and start things off. What I found this reel good for has to do more with either close range, kind of medium heavy pitching and flipping, and finesse or jerkbait applications. Something about this reel's breaking profile, which I'm assuming has to do with the overall diameter of the spool being a little bit shorter. This reel, the original Steez SV TW has a taller spool, larger capacity. That's obviously an advantage of having a larger, taller spool. But the feed rate, so the inches of line that come off the spool per revolution, is going to be a little bit less. And combining that with the braking profile, which is a magnetic brake, is not a linear magnetic brake, meaning it doesn't have a fixed inductor, as you will, or just magnets imposing their magnetic brake on a spool flange. It has this little cup that moves in and out. At high RPMs, it forces it out into this brake ring. At slower speeds, it goes back. I found it to have a little bit stiffer spring. And what that's doing is it's bringing that rotor cup away from the magnetic brake ring. And oddly enough, I find that throughout the course of the cast, so you start off the spool spinning real fast when you let the thumb off the spool and you start your cast. It's at the apex and midpoint that I'm finding it kind of chokes the cast, which was very weird. Whereas a reel such as this, it allows it to kind of cast more freer. So it's that at that apex of the cast. If this is the ground, if this is the water surface, the CT SV 700, it starts off like this. This is the line, the lure path. Once the lure, which is my point of my finger, gets past the apex, it seems to kind of drag and kind of pull that line, that belly line, down to the midpoint of the cast. That can be good, but I found that it doesn't allow the lure to achieve its maximum distance. And something that like the Shimano SVS Infinity brakes do very well is after that apex of the cast, it's very free. It allows that lure to get that extra distance, along with the braking profile of the Steez SV TWS, the non-CT. So I found that interesting. And at the same time, some lures such as, I don't know, Megabass Vision 110s, they have that weight balance system, and sometimes on a cast at around the apex, that lure, the balance system shifts or whatnot, and it kind of gets a little squirrely midair. And when it kind of gets out of shape, it adds a little bit more wind resistance, which with some bait casting reels when you're going for distance, which you usually are with a jerk bait, can kind of result in overruns. I found that the characteristic flattening of the trajectory, I guess, I don't know if that's the right term, of the Steez CT SV 700 allowed for a little bit more friendly long-distance jerkbait casting. And aside from that, guys, it's a little bit more compact. And I'll put a splash screen right here, show you this, the size differences. But its weight is virtually identical. So you're spending $200 more for a reel that I'm not seeing a true advantage, really. If you want to invest in an ultra premium jerkbait reel, this will get you a little bit more, I don't know, trouble-free casting with some jerkbaits. But in terms of how it compares side by side, I didn't notice anything making it worth the extra $200 over this reel. It's a really nice finesse reel. Actually, hold on. I don't want to edit this out or anything. It does handle some finesse applications better. I completely glossed over that. I apologize. I've fished this reel throwing 1/8 ounce jerkbaits, like true, not like a 1/8 ounce jig head and a, I don't know, Ned bait or whatnot that comes in at almost 1/4 ounce. True 1/8 ounce jerkbaits. I fished this reel for a long time using like 8 or 10 pound braid. This reel handles the ultralight applications at the 1/8 ounce weight range much better, much more comfortably. I can even go down to around 1/16 of an ounce if I have the right rod, but at the same time I would prefer a dedicated BFS rod and reel setup to do that. So I wouldn't necessarily buy this specifically for BFS fishing. If you're really looking for a finesse reel, I don't know, guys. It's a tough sell at $700. Even if you buy it from Japan at 5 and change or 500, it's still, I'm having a difficult time saying buy this over, say, an Aldebaran like this, which comes in a little smaller package and an ounce lighter. And it casts and behaves just as well, and it'll even outcast this reel. So, I don't know, guys. It's your wallet. I'm not saying buy it or don't buy it. If you love ultra premium reels, if you like Daiwa products, you're gonna look at this and say, okay, take my money. But as far as what you get out of it on the water, I'm just not seeing anything that would make me want to go ahead and spend the extra cash on this reel over this reel. And this reel here, in terms of an all-around bass reel, from 1/8 of an ounce all the way up to 2 ounces, this is my pick still in 2019 for the best reel on the market. From pitching, flipping, finesse, long-range spooks, spool it up with 20-pound braid, spool it up with 50, 60-pound braid, take it frogging. I love this reel. I have a couple of these, and they're never leaving my arsenal until something really, really different comes out. And I just didn't see that in here. Now, in terms of cosmetics, they did and aesthetics, they trimmed the reel down. If you look from the handle side plate profile, they pulled a Shimano and they got rid of all the screws. So there's no screws on the handle side. They're all on the back side here. The non-handle side plate, breaks down here versus kind of hidden up here, it's a wash. You don't even notice it when you're palming this reel. The palming side plate is really one of the only things that separates these two reels in terms of their overall width. They both palm perfectly. One thing I found that took a little bit of an adjustment, and again, fishing this reel as my daily driver for a very long time, the thumb bar just kind of felt lower. Like when it's on the rod, it felt lower, and being that it was a little narrower, I found that I had to kind of get my hand a little bit over more just to be more comfortable. And in terms of thumbing the reel, I found that this area being a little bit more narrow, again, was an adjustment to be able to feather it with, you know, I don't know how you guys thumb, but I usually thumb with the joint here with my thumb. It all has to do everything with how big your hands are and, your flexibility and whatnot. Whereas this one, it was so easy because it's so much more wide open in this area. So when it came to getting down into the lower break settings of 3 and 4, which get pretty squirrely, I found I like this reel better. And with this reel 3 or 4, even with the smaller spool, with the lower, inches of line coming off, combined with the higher RPMs, I found a little bit more difficult to dip down into the lower break settings with same pound test, 15-pound braids, 20-pound braids. So it's with all that being said, let's go ahead now and take a look inside both of these reels and see just how much different they truly are. Simple latch removal and your SV spool, which basically means it's a G1 duraluminum, ultra lightweight, very thin wall, and it has their non-fixed induction rotor. They say air brake. I don't know how that's built into the spool. Is it because of the holes here that kind of catch air a little bit? I can't give you a definition of how that actually works, because so many reels have exactly that. And if you look here, the switch for the side plate is right there. And this one here, I actually ground down the rotor cup a little bit, just as an experiment. I haven't really noticed all that much of a difference, to be quite honest with you, in terms of on-the-water performance as a result of that. And let's see, they both have the zero adjuster, which is a name giving to the spool tension adjustment knob. And you're not supposed to touch it from the factory, of course. Set it to however you want it, to be honest with you. All right, now let's go ahead and remove the screw that holds on the handle retaining nut retainer. And one thing I also have to point out, again, I'm always as transparent as possible, and I let Ralph, who sent me this reel, Ralph from Texas, thank you very much. And if you guys finding me for the first time, a lot of times subscribers send me the reels to do exactly what I'm doing here, put some time on them and tear them down. This reel developed a slight tick. I think it's coming from the level wind. So before this goes back to Ralph, it's going to make a pit stop at Daiwa for a repair if I can't isolate exactly what it is here. And more often than not, when it's something like that, it's not just something like a quick lube job that's going to take care of that issue. Now, this reel's been in rotation without any service for a little while now. And like most Daiwa reels, 10mm nut. And if you compare this to how you take down a Shimano reel, it's more of a nut versus a screw type. Let's see, everything in this area is identical. All right, let's take a close look here. That looks pretty close. What do we have in terms of a ball bearing at this location here? So right off the bat, we see that the ball bearing there might be smaller. Is it? I don't know. Nope. They are in fact the same size. And they are both of the shielded variety that you can't really pick off the shields without damaging the shield irreversibly. So keep that in mind for you saltwater guys. And again, magnesium frame, magnesium side plate, and the non-handle side plate is made out of their Zion, which is their high carbon content composite. And this reel uses a size something or other hex. I don't know exactly what size this is. I think we'll be quite honest with you. Sorry. I like my nice fancy tools, but when it comes to hex keys and Torx keys and stuff like that, I like the old ones because I'll end up misplacing them. That profisher.com YouTube channel, that guy is on another level. Every time I watch him, I feel just guilty that I'm just a slob when it comes to my workbench. Sorry. And then this one in here. And again, I don't think there's ever be a time that I'll turn the camera around so you guys can actually see what this room looks like. It's 14 by 14, and it's nothing but wall-to-wall fishing gear. As it should be. And one of these days I'll actually invest the $50 in the fancy schmancy slotted screwdriver that they sell that has a little dimple in it. Okay. Okay, so let's keep these separated. I'll take a peek. Oop, get the screws out of there so they don't just fall. So we got the CT versus the non-CT. Everything here looks very, very similar. A little bit different contouring. It's close. It's a new part, definitely. I'm going to get a weight on it too. So we have the CT with all the same parts included. 0.721 ounces. 20.46 grams. Oh no, it's lighter. Wow, look at that. That's pretty cool. They felt the same. But yeah, the old one's lighter. How about that? All right, now if you compare the guts, different gear ratios. This is the 8:1, I believe, and this is the 6.3:1. 6.3 versus, yep, 8.1:1. And we see some differences right off the bat. Let's get them oriented the same. So this left-hand side is the top of the reel. And let's see. The kick lever is a different part. This area here looks to be a little bit different. Oh, no, maybe just a casting mark is here and not on here. This area here, which is the lifter for the yoke that pulls the pinion away, is a little bit different. The gear is different. I'm not saying it's a different material. I can't confirm that. I'm assuming they're both the same, which is kind of like a high strength hardened aluminum. It looks different because you have the clicky drag, which is starting to find its way into more and more reels, finally. Some people don't think it's that important of a feature. It truly isn't an important feature. It's not like you're going to lose fish because of it. Why is this not wanting to come off very cleanly? What is this, a pen reel? This doesn't want to come off. Why you no work? This is going to go flying. I just know it. But you can hear. Dang it. What gives? All right, we're not going to force anything. We're not going to force anything because if I have to send this reel back because it not being able to remedy the tick, I don't want to do any damage up here because that'll look like it's abuse. Like some fool went in here and took apart a brand new 700 reel for no good reason. All right, and because it has much higher gear ratio, you can see here the pinion compared to the lower gear ratio more closely resembled a toothpick, which is why for long-term like new performance, I'm not really saying that this reel, the CT, is a good heavy cover type reel because all that drag, I mean heavy cover, you're really wrenching up that drag, and the way star drags work, every single ounce of drag pressure is applied directly to the gear tooth on the pinion and the main gear. That's just how it works. Spinning reels, it's all that pressure, the backwards turning of the rotor is applied to the anti-reverse clutch. Baitcasters, it's all on the gear's tooth. Now, the 2017 Steez SV forgoes the clicky drag. That would have been awesome if it was in this reel. I've seen some mods where they kind of modify a washer to make it work. I never went about it that way. I never went that far. I kind of want it though. And let's see. Can we notice or can we see if there is, in fact, a difference in main gear diameter? They both fit the same. They look like they're the exact same. Are they? I don't know. Looks like it. Oh, don't tell me I can't get this up now. All right, so inside this reel, let's see if we can't at least get an idea what we're looking at in here. One spring for the thumb bar. What I'm looking at is to see how this area of this cam reacts to the T-wing. Now the T-wing guide on this, due to the fact it's just a smaller spool proportionally, is narrower than that of the 2017 Steez, if you look there. Man, I really wanted to get a good idea in terms of weight, how much the difference is between the frames sans the main gear. And I'm just not going to do that. Sorry, guys. And it looks like we have here, is this a bearing? Yep, there's a bearing that rides on the inner portion of the pinion, as well as the backside up here in the side plate. So this is one of the Daiwa reels. The few that have a true Shimano X-Ship style dual bearing supported pinion gear, which is a that goes a long way of ensuring long-lasting like new performance, especially in heavier applications. Not saying that this is a heavy application reel, but it is what it is. So I guess the only thing we can really weigh is the two spools. Now, if you saw me at the Bassmaster Classic when I was hanging out with Mark Mills at the Daiwa booth, who is their head of media marketing, I believe, we played Real Nerds, and we weighed all the spools on all the Daiwa baitcasters. So we have the CT SV, 0.48 ounces, 0.65 ounces, 18.3 grams, 13.69. Wow. So 4.6 grams heavier with line than the standard Steez. Interesting. Very interesting. Which kind of explains, again, when you have it spooled up with line, the added weight differences really shine. If the spools are just super lightweight and one weighs more with more line, you kind of lose the added bonus of being able to get that startup inertia or overcome that startup inertia with ultralight rip bait at 5-6 feet at the end of the rod tip. So that kind of explains why in this case this handles the lighter baits a little bit more efficiently, a little bit more effectively, and the brake handles it a little bit better due to the tuning, how the midpoint of the cast kind of chokes down, so you're not overrunning with the ultralight bait that kind of doesn't want to carry 50-60 yards. It's only going to carry 40 to 60 feet. So guys, I want to know what you guys think. Am I out in left field saying that this reel isn't worth $700? Is any baitcaster for that matter worth $700? And you guys, if you guys have hung out here for a bit and have watched previous content that I put out, when I took the Shimano Antares apart and compared it to this reel and some of the higher end reels from Abu, where I did the Steez versus the Antares versus the MGX Extreme 2, I kind of was critical of the Shimano Antares being a little bit of a novelty because it was very heavy in weight. The side plates, the actual metal, the bulk amount of metal on the side plates, which was just so thick. It just seems so unnecessary to have that much aluminum where it just wasn't even needed. Like, you could get away, like saltwater reels for tuna have side plates that have thinner, cross sections. And it just added so much bulk. And the cosmetic plates at the top here, they're add-on additional plates. Also found in the Corrado DC and the K that were made out of chrome-plated metal that were super heavy. So there's quite a bit of weight of that reel was just in its cosmetics. And that to me made it sort of a novelty. I mean, there's no other way to slice it. Like, what purpose does all that serve? Now, in this case, it's 2019. The trend is to go more compact and lighter in weight because so many reels out there can handle hard use and abuse, which is one thing that the Antares is guilty of. It's one of the most durable baitcasters out there, partially due to the fact that everything on the internal inside of the reel is very simple. There's very few moving parts inside that reel, which is kind of what makes it last so long and stay like new, plus the quality gears that Shimano puts in the reels that Daiwa does as well. The smaller, more compact and lightweight kind of makes it less than just flat out a novelty. Like, it still is a premium product and you're paying top dollar, but why? Why are you paying $700 and why are you not paying $550, $600? Because again, in Japan, this reel is cheaper than this reel. The retail prices may be a little bit different due to the fact that this has been around a little bit better, longer, and some of the prices kind of adjust to that presence on the market for so long. It just, I don't know. It's tough to look at this reel at $700 and just kind of not have the warm and fuzzies. You know what I mean? So, guys, for you guys that are still here hanging out, listening to me ramble, I greatly appreciate every second of every minute you guys just hang here. You guys are always here. You guys are always in the comment sections. You're always on my Instagram. You're always sending me emails, DMs, all that kind of good jazz. I try to keep up. It's a failed endeavor. It really is. And I guess it's with all that being said, guys. Tight lines. I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll be seeing you guys real soon. Got a lot of stuff coming out. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.